Hey, welcome to the Shane Flippin' Eggin channel. If you want to see me build this table that has wheels, storage, and a place for taking pictures, definitely stick around and watch me build this table. Here we go. Alright, so I'm here at the lumber yard in Lowe's, and I'm starting to pick out the lumber that I need for this build, and I want to get this table started. I'm really excited. Just got back from our vacation, and I've already picked out 2 boards. They're going to be the legs to my table, and I have to pick out some other lumber here, but I'm already like gassed and tired. I can't believe it. I'm like so out of shape. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I'm here in the garage and I've got some stuff set up, you can see, and I've kind of started making some cuts. So the cuts that I've made so far are these 4 legs that I'm going to use for the table, and this table is going to be a 5-foot by 4-foot table, and on one side it's going to have a 6-inch overhang so that I can use to sit at the table. The top will be actual 2x4s. I want to recreate, don't mind the mess, I want to recreate this, but this keeps tearing. You see how easy it is to tear? It keeps tearing, and I want to make it something that won't tear. So that's what I'm working on. I also want to build some shelving so I can stay organized and everything looks nice and neat, and instead of having these random packages and boxes, I want to make sure that I have something that's more secure, looks more appealing, and makes the garage look a lot better. So that's what I'm working on now. I'll keep showing you the next step. Here we go. I'm going to make the braces for along the bottom. Alright, so for this next piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 4 boards to 41 inches long. That's going to be my base rail for the bottom. There's one 41 inch, right? 2 41 inch. Alright, so I have 41 inch cuts. Now I gotta do pocket holes. Alright, so for this next part, I've got these 4 boards that I cut to 41 inches long. Alright, and I have these 4 corners that I have cut to 35 3/4 inch long. Once I add up everything that's going to be the height of the table, I want it to be 42 inches tall. So I had to cut this to a smaller length to accommodate for everything. I have some casters I'm going to be putting on the bottoms of these so that the table can move around if I need to make more room. And let's go ahead and drill some pocket holes. Alright, so I'm ready to go ahead and pocket hole my first 2x4. So I have a special kit that I got. It's a Craig pocket hole kit. Okay. I also had to get a special Craig clamp that works with the adapter to clamp it all together so that everything goes in straight. It also comes with a special bit. The bit is designed to pocket hole exactly where it needs to stop, so that has a stopper right here. And once you set it to 1.5 inch, which is what the width of this board is, it'll drill exactly the right pocket hole. Alright, so here we go. Stops, come back out. Okay, same thing here. Start. Come back out. Alright, and it does a perfect pocket hole every time. If you don't know what a pocket hole is, you will see when I start joining these together. So all of my pocket holes have been drilled. I'm going to go ahead and start joining everything together. Okay. So I'm going to start with this one right here. All right. So whenever you're going to secure everything, you want it to try to go into the direction of the wood. Okay. You can join stuff together when you're going out. Pocket hole will be mine. You're not going to have any issues. It's just you use a longer screw than what you should. If it's going into the wood, it's not going to become a problem coming out this side right here. Alright, so they gave us these screws. We're just going to put the screws down in there like that. Alright, so I'm ready to get started here. I took another board and clamped it to the outside area, because I want to make sure everything lines up flush. I don't want it to have an issue later of it being not correct. So I'm just going to start the first one like this. Now I can take it off, and it's pretty much going to be level. Same thing here. Go. That's one side. The other side is going to be very similar. So we're going to lay it down like this. Alright, so same thing here. I put this brace right here to kind of line everything up. Like I said, I don't want anything to be out of alignment. And there we go. Now we'll do the next one. Right here. Alright, so that's one of the bottom. Alright, so when I was making my first initial cuts, I did cut two boards a little bit too long. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking off 4 inches here, because on the sides of my table, my 4-foot wide table, I want there to be a 2-inch overlap on the table top, okay? And to account for that, I've got to have an extra 4 inches here to give me that 2 inches on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that real quick and true that up. Here we go. Cut the other side. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this next one. There we go. All right, so now that I've cut those two, I need to go back and re-pocket hole this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so now we're back to, alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and drill this in. Hold it tight. There we go. And that's good. All right, so here we are. I have the framing pretty much laid out for the base of the table, and I'm about to go ahead and pocket hole the framing for the top of the table. All right, and then once I do that, I can go ahead and kind of put everything together, and we'll see how it goes. Here we go. All right, so the next step is to pocket hole these 4 boards right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Here we go. Alright, so now that I have that done, alright, so for the next event, what we're going to do is instead of putting these on, we're going to go ahead and put in the bottom of the table, because once we put these on, it's going to be a lot harder to like put the board in. So we're going to go ahead and work on that real quick. For this section, we're going to use this to cut little holes into the already pre-made plywood that I already have over here by the wall. Alright, so this is my bottom floor of the table, and I've made 4 cuts on these sides, but there's still a little couple pieces that are holding on. I'm going to turn this over and cut out those remaining pieces. Alright, here we go. Now our piece should be ready. We can go ahead and move it into position. Alright, so here we go. I have the base laid out. I'm going to go ahead and put the floor in of the table, which I have right over here. And let's see if it fits. We should be good. And there we go. It fits. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put the boards up between here and here, all the way around. And it's going to go like this. Alright, so that one was a little hard. so I got all the rails put together except for this one corner. I did that because sometimes when you're putting stuff in between, sometimes you need a little extra room to get everything together. All right, so I got all the top pieces in place. You can see those right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I decided instead of putting 2x4s across here, I'm gonna go ahead and just pocket hole this shelf. The shelf is not gonna hold that much weight, and I'm gonna have quite a bit of pocket holes holding this thing together to be able to support everything. So we're gonna go ahead and do the pocket holes on all these corners. 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, all the way around. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I started drilling, but I forgot to change the stopper on the pocket hole bit. So I gotta switch that to 3/4 inch, which is what the size of the, right, now that's tight, and we can continue. To the square bit, they give you a square bit with a long nose. We're driving these. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. All right, so I've got the table turned on its side because I have this exactly in the middle. And when you hit the pocket hole screws, you can see the pocket hole screws here and here. You can also see that I haven't put all the pocket hole screws in yet, but once I do that, everything should tighten up. Once I do that, I can tighten up some of these again. Before I do put the top on, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put the casters on. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and finish up these pocket hole screws, and should be moving along pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and put these casters on the bottom so I can go ahead and get it up and mobile. that's all the casters. I'm gonna go ahead and flip the table over now. All right, so this is basically what it's gonna look like. I am going to be adding some 2x4s across here. I will be also building a backdrop that I can take off and move back if I need to do floor lays or larger items. But this is basically what the table is going to look like. What I'm going to work on next is I'm going to anchor this 3/4 inch plywood to the legs. I'm going to be sinking the heads down into the wood because there's going to be other wood laying on top, because I don't want the screws to be poking out. So I'm just going to measure roughly. Here we go. Alright, so before I finish fastening the rest of these bolts or these screws, I want to make sure I do have a 2-inch gap on every side, just to be 100% sure. Alright, so this is pretty much the finished product. I just got to put some 2x4s across this way. Alright, so last night I finished about half of the boards on top of this table, and as soon as I finish the rest of these boards and cut that last little strip off on the end, this table will be officially finished until I decide to put floors in way later. I don't have a proper sander, so I'm just using this. Just a little bit on the ends. Alright, so I've measured out how many more boards are going to be at the length I need, and there's this little tiny, let's call it 2.5-inch strip that I don't need on the end of this table side where I'm going to be sitting at. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off because I want it to be pretty much exact. Definitely a messy project, but it will be very rewarding once everything is done. Okay, so as you can see, all the boards have been laid out. So we need to do a little bit of sanding on the bottom edge. Outside of that, I've got these clamped. I'm going to go ahead and start drilling and putting some screws in to hold these tight. Alright, here we go. I'm very happy with the final product. Alright, so the table's finally done. It's super sturdy. It's going to be perfect for taking pictures on top of, for storing the items I'm about to list, and storing large items down below. I'm so excited about this build. I'm glad I was finally able to do it. Don't mind liking the video so that more people can view it. That would be great. Oh yeah, and stick around. Don't forget, I'm going to be building a storage shelf, so within the next few days you should see that video too. I really appreciate everybody stopping in.